I was planning on doing a review of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, but that would have involved me actually wasting money and a few hours of my life going to watch something I really didn't want to watch because, well, the leaks, the rumors, they turned out to be true. All of them. Well, at least most of them. So that made me less inclined to actually want to go reward Disney with my time and money. I know some people enjoyed Rise of Skywalker, and if you did, well, good for you. We all have different tastes. But I feel like it is probably, at best, an okay Star Wars film. Maybe not as bad as Attack of the Clones or, Last Jedi, depending on your point of view on that one, but it didn't really do the saga overall any favors from what I gather. And there's also people have been throwing up clips on YouTube, so I've been watching those as well. So since I didn't actually watch Star Wars Rise of Skywalker with my own eyes in the theater, I didn't feel like it was right of me to do a review on it. But if you guys want to check out my sequel trilogy is garbage video, feel free and do so. But we're going to actually review something that I did enjoy watching over the weekend, Mandalorian. And finally, the entire first season is available on Disney Plus. And yes, I got the 7-day free trial to Disney Plus, which, by the way, once you're done binging season 1 of Mandalorian, if you don't want to keep paying, $7 US a month for Disney Plus, you can just cancel it. And I know a lot of people have been canceling after the season finale. Of course, when season 2 comes back, I think sometime in 2020, you're going to see a lot of people renewing their Disney Pluses. So Disney will get their $14 from everybody. I guess if they do it like they did this time around, 8 episodes on a weekly basis, that's 2 months. So there you go, Disney. At least you would get $14 from everybody because everyone would have to renew and they wouldn't have a free trial. I mean, there's other ways to do it, but at the very least, I may just let them have $7, I may let them have $7 because I believe in rewarding whenever I enjoy something. And for the most part, I really did enjoy The Mandalorian. I thought it was great. It wasn't perfect, but it was way more enjoyable than the sequel trilogy. So if I had to pick between rewatching the sequel trilogy, which also would include me having to watch Rise of Skywalker, or The Mandalorian, I'd probably rewatch Mandalorian easily. Loved all 8 episodes. The setting is 5 years after the Return of Jedi. Now, I'm not going to throw any actual spoilers out there. I may do some at the end of this review video. Just bear that in mind. I'll warn you in advance. But for the most part, I want this quick review to be spoiler-free as possible. It's definitely for you if you're a fellow Star Wars fan. I believe you will enjoy The Mandalorian. The Empire is obviously defeated, and you have the New Republic. But there is a little bit of Empire left out there. I guess you could say the Imperial Remnant. Mainly, they exist hiding in the Outer Rim. So they're out there. And see, we have a new character, the Mandalorian, obviously. We learn more about the Mandalorian throughout the first season. A bounty hunter, probably one of the best bounty hunters in the guild. He's just all around a badass, and you really grow to enjoy his character. It's definitely like a Wild West film or TV series. It definitely has that feel and vibe to it, set in space in a galaxy far, far away. And that's another thing I like about it, And some people have also equated it to kind of like, a live-action Saturday morning cartoon. And that's fine, too. I mean, it's a lot more darker at times than a cartoon. There are also funny moments. I mean, it's very complex, all 8 episodes. Overall, I enjoyed them. I liked them. I mean, I know there's 1 or 2 that people didn't like, but even those episodes, when you're binging it start to finish, aren't really that bad. I guess if you're watching it on a weekly basis, it could be annoying. You watch this one episode, you didn't like it as much, and you have to wait till the next week to watch the next one. But watching it start to finish made it a lot easier, I think. So, yeah, there's also a lot of Easter eggs scattered throughout all 8 episodes for Star Wars fans to pick up on here and there. Another thing I liked is the fact that along with The Mandalorian, they introduced other characters as well, new characters. I don't think we ran into one single character like primary, secondary, or ancillary from the original trilogy, which was great. You'll see some similar species, obviously, but at the same time, all these characters, I think, are first introduced in The Mandalorian. And that's something that Favreau, Filoni, Deborah Chow, and the others get right with The Mandalorian, is that it feels like Star Wars. And it also makes this galaxy far, far away feel like a galaxy. It makes it feel large and huge. Whereas sequel trilogy, it doesn't do as good of a job, in my opinion. And I think that's the same problem with Han Solo and Rogue One. Even though I enjoyed Rogue One, and Solo was okay, more or less. I mean, I watched it for free on Netflix, so that wasn't a real big deal. But a lot of times it just felt so small because you run across these characters, and some of them are connected and whatnot, and it just felt small. It made the galaxy feel considerably smaller than it actually should be, whereas Mandalorian goes in the right direction. It actually makes it feel like a large galaxy, and you have the Mandalorian who's just a bounty hunter out there just trying to make a living, trying to, earn money, get bounties, and he has other things going on as well that you find out about throughout, the first season. But it definitely makes it, feel like, he's just, one man in a vast, large galaxy. And he's only in like a certain part of the galaxy, the Outer Rim, where obviously the New Republic really isn't out there. They're mainly in like the core worlds, following Return of the Jedi. So, yeah, it definitely makes the case that, not really much has changed, with the exception of, going from Empire to New Republic, but a lot of things really aren't that different for the common citizen of the galaxy. Maybe in the core worlds it's a lot better. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad Mandalorian got renewed for a second season. It definitely deserves it. And when it comes out, I'll probably be watching it weekly. I don't know if I'll do like a weekly review series. I'll probably just keep it to seasonal. Like I'll review season 2 if we end up doing that next year. If you guys enjoy me doing these kind of reviews. Overall, I mean, it's hard to really give it a rating, but I'll just say like an 8.5 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was great. It was really good. And like I said, if you're a fellow Star Wars fan, you will definitely enjoy The Mandalorian. It is freaking awesome. I'm also excited for the final season of Clone Wars, as well as the Obi-Wan series that's coming to Disney+. And I guess that means I might have to find out when Clone Wars is coming out, because I might as well just keep my Disney Plus for now. $7 a month if it's coming out right around the corner. But if I have to wait a few months, I'll probably just go ahead and cancel it after, the free trial expires, just to give them $7. Here, take my money. And then I'll renew it whenever Clone Wars comes out, the final season, which I'm looking forward to, because Clone Wars was awesome. By the way, that was done by Dave Filoni, and he's part of The Mandalorian, along with Favreau. And, John Favreau, he's the reason why we got Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. And incidentally, the MCU, because of him and Kevin Feige and Favreau, Filoni, Deborah Chow, obviously huge Star Wars fans, along with everybody else that was involved with the making of The Mandalorian. And, of course, the star of the show, Pedro. Pedro did a great job as The Mandalorian. I really liked him. And I know there's another star I won't mention because I'm trying to leave spoilers out of this review. But most of you already know about him already. But I'll just say this. He's not the only reason why you should watch The Mandalorian. But I did enjoy his time on the screen. I'll say that much. Okay, so spoilers section. Let's just do spoilers really quick for all of you that are still here. Spoiler alert. Obviously, some of you have already watched The Mandalorian Season 1. And I want to know in the comment section, did you enjoy it? Yes or no? Are you looking forward to Season 2? Do you feel like this is a step in the right direction for Star Wars going forward? And now that we got that out of the way, let's talk spoilers. Okay, yes, I know everyone loves, quote-unquote, the child, a.k.a. Baby Yoda. Obviously, it's not Baby Yoda unless it's an actual clone of Yoda. It could be, because, cloning is a thing in Star Wars, Camino, the Clone Wars. So it's a very real possibility that the little baby, the child, which is 50 years old, is actually Yoda. Just a younger version of Yoda, a clone. I don't know. Now, it is 50 years old, so I don't think it's technically a baby, because it can actually walk around and it can do stuff. But I guess the growth rate of Yoda's and Yaddle's species is, Yoda lived to be, over 900 years old. But I do feel like in that regard, 50 was kind of pushing it for the species. Maybe like 20 Maybe that would have been a fitting age. I don't know, or 30. I don't know if this is the love child of Yato and Yoda. I have no idea. Is Yoda the mother? No, Yoda would be the father. Yato would be the mother. We need to get Maury Povich on this. I know someone made a video like that. But anyways. So we learn about the Mandalorian. We learn that, his village was attacked during the Clone Wars by the Separatists, the droid army. And super battle droids were wrecking everybody. It looked brutal, by the way. It actually made me kind of want like a live-action version of the Clone Wars. If they're going to do that. I realize CGI is expensive, but they did a good job with actually bringing that to the screen and giving it a lot more realism to it than even the Clone Wars. Now, I love the Clone Wars, by the way, obviously, because I'm looking forward to the final season. But yeah, I mean, it did show the horrors of the Clone Wars felt by the common citizen, and specifically the main characters, losing his parents. They both were killed. And he was about to be killed by a super battle droid. And as most of you know that have watched The Mandalorian, he was saved by Mandalorians. And so the point is, the Mandalorians are not a race, it's a creed. And he was raised as a foundling, and he became a Mandalorian. And one thing that I don't really understand completely, because in Clone Wars and Rebels, Mandalorians could take their helmets off. In fact, one of the characters in Rebels was a Mandalorian. She's a Mandalorian, yet she takes her helmet off all the damn time and puts it back on. And the entire premise here is that Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian, he can't take his helmet off, because if he takes it off, he can never put it back on. Now, I guess you could simply say that, well, this is a different group of Mandalorians. They're a little bit more stricter in their beliefs than some of the other Mandalorians out there. Some are more casual about it, like, hey, in our group, in our tribe, you can take it off, you can put it on if you want, or as long as it's in private around other Mandalorians, it's okay. But in this case, not even around other Mandalorians could he take his helmet off, and none of the other Mandalorians took their helmets off either. So, I don't know, is there a retcon issue there, or is it simply just because this is a completely different tribe of Mandalorians, and, their beliefs are a little bit stricter than, say, some of the others? But I love the chemistry built up between the Mandalorian and the child. I don't really want to call it Baby Yoda, because I don't think it's Yoda, unless, like I said, it's a clone. Maybe it's not. And I did like, I guess, the blacksmith, the leader of the Mandalorians. She's a badass. We see her a few times. We'll probably see more of her in the second season. And Cara Dune, love Cara Dune. She's also a badass. I liked the guy that runs the guild. He's awesome too. And I loved all the characters that were introduced. There were a lot of different characters introduced throughout all 8 seasons. And sadly, a few of them didn't make it to the end. Like Quill didn't make it. I think he's voiced by Nick Nolte. I really grew to like Quill. IG-11, I liked IG-11 by the end. It's sad, but that's one thing I liked about it, is the fact that, people that you grow attached to, these characters, they may not make it through the series, or make it through a season. So we may get introduced some new characters, and by the end of season 2, they may be gone as well, or they may stick around to the end. So I hope we get to see more of Carl Weathers' character, as well as Cara Dune, and of course Gideon. I love the actor that plays Gideon. He's great as Gus in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Overall, a fantastic actor. So they definitely, I think almost everybody that they cast for these roles, they did a really good job. And for Gideon being the main antagonist going forward, I was glad he survived. And the fact that he has the Darksaber, the Darksaber, which was, I guess, the prize of the Mandalorians. If I remember correctly, it belonged to a Mandalorian Jedi, and eventually the Mandalorians would pass it on to the leader of the Mandalorians, and they would call him the Mandalore. So at the end of Rebels, if I remember correctly, like Bo-Katan ends up getting the Darksaber. Now, Gideon apparently had something to do with the destruction of the Mandalorians during the Galactic Civil War. He's a Grand Moff, and he ends up at the very end, cutting himself out of his TIE fighter with the Darksaber. So I feel like that before it's over, it's going to be revealed that Grand Moff Gideon is also a Mandalorian, because he never wears a helmet. Like when you first meet him in like the season 7 episode in season 8, He never wears a helmet. Like TIE fighter pilots wear helmets, yet he doesn't wear a helmet. And one thing that they talked about was the fact that, you're not allowed to put your helmet back on the moment you take it off. So I guess maybe Gideon comes from a similar faction of Mandalorians. So I feel like before it's over, it's going to be revealed that he was also a Mandalorian. So you're going to have this Mandalorian v. Mandalorian thing going on throughout the story. Mandalorian versus Gideon. And he just struck me as, not only a Grand Moff, but kind of a badass in his own right. He didn't run and hide. I mean, he was actually, there in the firefight near the end of the series. Plus, he was trying to kill them in his TIE fighter. He was all by himself. He didn't have a squadron backing him up. So I think Gideon will turn out to be a Mandalorian. And that's the reason why he has the Darksaber. Maybe they'll have a flashback where they'll bring in Katie Sackhoff, who voiced Bo-Katan, and they'll just have a scene where there's a final fight and she ends up getting killed by Gideon, and that's how he gets the Darksaber. That's how I'm envisioning it anyways, but overall, I'm looking forward to Season 2. I hope that Favreau, Filoni, Deborah Chow, and the others, and Pedro continue to pick up where the show leaves off, continue to improve upon it. One thing that Thor Skywalker and others have brought up, and this is something else that was on my mind, was the fact that they don't really talk much about the Jedi. Now, I realize that they talk about the Purge, but they never call it the Jedi Purge. And obviously, Pedro, his character, the Mandalorian, was a boy, when his parents were killed during the Clone Wars. And he was raised by the Mandalorians, and the Mandalorians and the Jedi have a very, very long history, and it's not all good. So you think while he was taught, the culture of Mandalorians, their beliefs and whatnot, how religion, their weapons are their religion, that another thing they would have been taught about is the Jedi. So it's not till the end that he discovers from, his mentor, the blacksmith Mandalorian, where she talks about the Jedi. So you think he would have already known about the Jedi, especially since, like I said, he was young enough to remember the Clone Wars. And obviously the Jedi were still alive in the Clone Wars. They were the generals of the Grand Army of the Republic. They led the clones into battle. So at the very least, despite the fact that most of the Jedi were wiped out, he should still be aware of the Jedi. For both reasons. As a survivor of the Clone Wars, and of course, being raised as a Mandalorian, and the fact that Luke Skywalker is a Jedi, and I'm sure his deeds have traveled across the galaxy, him leading the Rebel Alliance along with Leia, Han, and the others to victory against the Empire, because this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and Luke kind of played an important role in bringing down the Emperor at the time, as well as the Empire. So Luke Skywalker should be a name, right? Even if he never met Luke Skywalker, at the very least, he should know of Luke Skywalker, and they should know that he's a freaking Force wielder, that he's a Jedi, the Return of the Jedi, duh. So, that's something I hope that they can tweak a little bit going forward with The Mandalorian. It's okay that he never meets Luke Skywalker, that's perfectly fine, and he never interacts with any Jedi, but at the same time, I still feel like that should be common knowledge out there, especially for somebody like The Mandalorian, and, others that he interacts with, like Cara Dune, she was a shock trooper for the Rebellion. So you think she would know about Luke Skywalker. She would have heard deeds about Commander Skywalker, on Hoth, or Commander Skywalker at, before that, the first Death Star. He's the reason why the Death Star got blown up. And, of course, the Battle of Endor. So, anyways, just a few nitpicks I have as a Star Wars fan. I'm sure that Filoni, Favreau, Deborah Chow have gotten a little bit of feedback from the Star Wars fan base, but most of us have loved The Mandalorian Season 1. And I am absolutely looking forward to Season 2 of The Mandalorian. And honestly, Bob Iger, Disney, I suggest, if you're looking for the future of Lucasfilm, the future of Star Wars, look no further than one of those three, or all three of them. Favreau, Filoni, Deborah Chow, I think they're the future of Star Wars. And we need to get the old guard out of there. Some others, I'm not going to mention their names. They've been mentioned enough. Out with the old, in with the new guard. And the new guard, I believe, will put Star Wars right. Now, there's nothing we can do about the sequel trilogy. It's over and done with. We still have the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy to enjoy, along with the Clone Wars. Some people like the Rebels series. It was okay, But, The Mandalorian definitely is another reason to be excited about Star Wars once again, along with the Obi-Wan series coming out, the final season of Clone Wars. And hopefully, under the new regime at Lucasfilm, under Favreau or Filoni, one of them or both of them, then maybe the future films will be good and, slowly but surely win the fan base back. I don't believe that it's completely lost because at the end of the day, despite how much I love the Star Wars franchise from video games to movies, TV shows, at the end of the day, it's entertainment. At the end of the day, it's movies. And there's always duds. There's always bombs. Maybe not to this degree as the sequel trilogy was. Like I mentioned in my sequel trilogy is garbage video, lots of missed opportunities there. And hopefully they'll learn from their mistakes. And they'll be able to win back most of the fan base. I don't really feel like that the fan base is lost forever. It's just that Disney and Lucasfilm need to do right by the fans. And The Mandalorian is the first step towards winning us back, I think. But anyways, those are my thoughts, views, and opinions regarding Mandalorian Season 1, as well as the future of Star Wars. I'm interested in what fellow Star Wars fans like you have to say. Feel free and let me know below in the comments section.